Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a pretty wild idea. What if winning wasn't some random event, but a skill, something you could actually design yourself? I mean, seriously, think about that. What if you could make your biggest goals totally inevitable? Not by grinding harder, but through a very specific mental skill. An inner conviction so powerful, so real, that the world around you just has to conform to it. So, where does this radical idea even come from? Well, it all starts with this one core philosophy from a spiritual thinker named Neville Goddard. He called it, simply, the already done principle. Neville's whole thing was basically flipping the idea of prayer completely on its head. He said you have to forget about begging or pleading for something you don't have. Instead, you assume the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. The victory has to be a done deal in your mind first before it can ever show up in your reality. And the tool to do this? He called it imaginative love. Now, this isn't just lazy daydreaming. No, this is a controlled, deliberate, focused act of creation in your own mind. It's like you're embracing your goal with this warm, affectionate feeling. The feeling you would have if it were already yours. No neediness, no desperation. You just feel it as real, right here and now. And this quote from Neville, man, it just nails it. The second you truly assume your goal is a fact inside your own consciousness, the heavy lifting is over. From that point on, your only real job is to just hold on to that feeling, to maintain that quiet, certain awareness.
Okay, so that's the theory. It sounds good, right? But does it actually work in the real world? Well, let's take a look at the evidence, because it is pretty staggering.
A perfect example of this in action was a woman named Helen Hadsell, known as the Contest Queen. Her certainty was just legendary. I mean, this story is amazing. She literally told her friend, hey, don't buy that frying pan, because she was just so calmly confident she was about to win one in a contest. And, of course, she did. See, she didn't hope she would win, she knew. And Helen was just the tip of the iceberg. One researcher, totally inspired by stories just like hers, went out and compiled a personal database of over 50,000 similar wins. That's right, 50,000 stories of people assuming a reality and then watching it unfold. It's got to be the largest field study of its kind ever put together. And when you look at these wins, they're just all over the place. Yeah, you've got the huge, life-changing lottery jackpots, but you also have people winning a stuffed animal from a claw machine, or getting a free vacation, or just finding a $20 bill on the sidewalk. What this giant database tells us is that the principle itself is universal. It doesn't care if your goal is massive or tiny. The only thing that matters is that your inner conviction is absolute. And you know, when you sift through all 50,000 of those stories, the same exact pattern shows up again and again. It always starts with this powerful declaration, not I hope I win, but I am the winner. Then that belief fuels a super vivid sensory visualization. And from that, this deep sense of calm certainty starts to settle in because you know it's already done. And that calm is what lets you go out and act with total confidence. It's like a clear, repeatable chain reaction. All right, so we've got the theory and we've got a mountain of evidence, but the next question is, how far can you actually push this? Well, we found an account from this one individual, we're going to call him Jurian, who takes this whole thing to an extreme that is almost hard to believe. He doesn't just see himself as a winner, he truly believes he is the architect of his own destiny. For him, it started way back when he was just 7 years old. He talks about winning soccer games 1-on-5 against boys who were older and bigger. And he is crystal clear on this point. It wasn't because he was more skillful. It was because he possessed this unshakable inner knowing, this calm, dominant belief that he was the winner. And the game just had no choice but to play out that truth. So after years and years of testing this in his own life, he created his own personal method. He calls it the 777 Swords Formula. And it's this powerful, repeating loop. First, he boldly declares his challenge. Then, he enters this state of profound inner stillness. And it's from that calm place that he remembers his future victory, basically allowing the world to rearrange itself to match. And the final step? He takes in that sublime feeling of victory,
which just makes his belief even stronger for the next time around.
This quote just captures his entire philosophy so perfectly. And it ties right back to Neville. He inhabits the end result so completely that the physical act of, scoring a goal, it just becomes a technicality. It's simply a memory from his future, making itself real in the present moment.
So, how far does he really take this? Well, his stated goal is to remember scoring 180 goals in a single 90-minute soccer match. Let that sink in. That's a goal every 30 seconds. It's a number so completely absurd, so far beyond what we think is possible, that it's clearly designed to just shatter our own limiting beliefs.
And this brings us to the core paradox of his whole method. What you see on the outside, on the field, is pure, relentless dominance, total berserker savagery. But the inner state that creates all that power is the complete opposite. It's effortless, it's calm, it's totally non-straining. He's like the quiet eye at the center of a hurricane. So you have to be asking, where does this kind of extreme, almost godlike confidence come from? Well, it's not blind faith. It is built on what he calls his profit snail, and that's that massive database of 50,000 wins we talked about. He didn't just read them. He personally studied and reverse engineered every single one. So when he says, "My research is my witness," he's saying his belief isn't just a hope. It's a conclusion he's drawn from an overwhelming amount of data. Okay, so we've covered the theory, we've looked at the evidence, and we've seen the absolute extreme of what's possible. So what does this actually look like in practice for the rest of us? Let's break down the blueprint.
I love this. Here's a wonderfully creative and really tangible method we found in the source material. This one person was having a tough time quieting their self-doubt, so they made themselves an adult coloring book filled with their own money affirmations. The quiet, meditative act of coloring, while focusing on the feeling of being abundant, was their way of impressing that new reality onto their subconscious mind. So clever.
And honestly, people get so creative with how they do this. Some people visualize in that drowsy state right before sleep, when the logical mind is starting to check out. Others will physically act things out to generate the feeling of the win. Some even use intense gym workouts to exhaust the analytical mind and bypass their own doubt. And look at this one, the rumor technique. Imagining you overhear two friends talking about how you've already won. They're all just different hacks to get to the exact same place, making the feeling of success totally real in your body right now.
Now this is fascinating. A very common sign that people report, a sign that the subconscious mind has really accepted the new idea, is dream confirmations. So many people talk about having dreams where characters, sometimes even famous people, repeat their specific personal affirmations right back to them, word for word. It's like the subconscious is sending you a receipt that says, "Okay, message received." So how do you start building this kind of unshakable belief for yourself? Well, you start building your own personal evidence library. You do exactly what Jurian did. You start writing down every single win, no matter how big or small. You can even start scripting, writing out future wins as if you're remembering them. The whole point is to collect so much personal proof that your belief stops being a matter of faith and starts becoming a cold, hard, data-driven conclusion. And this quote from a raffle winner back in 2007 just brings it all home. Just notice the words she uses. She knew it was hers. She was overwhelmed with the emotions of already having it. That right there is the engine of this entire process. That intense feeling of it already being a fact, that seems to be the secret sauce that makes the outside world start to shift and rearrange itself. So what the theory suggests is that this isn't some power you need to go out and acquire. It's a power that's already inside you, one you just need to awaken. So we've seen the theory, the evidence, and the blueprints. I guess the only real question left is the one on your screen. What victory are you already living in?